if we're feeling stress or we're going through a big emotional time, maybe you're processing a divorce, maybe you're processing a big loss in your company, like whatever it is, if you have grief, those kind of things, it will manifest in your body. And so if you're tight, up here, it'll feel like the weight of the world in your shoulders, right? Lower back can be a lot of anger, grief, loss, and it can be business loss, right? It doesn't have to be this big emotional thing in your personal life. It might be just really stressful times. So you need to make sure that, you're taking care of your well-being. Well-being is everything.
Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest here, Amy. Amy, tell us what you do and who you serve, and we'll get into the topic of the week.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I'm Amy Looper. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm the founder of Resilient Growth, helping founders either scale their revenue or working on personal development, working on those resilient growth, building those resiliency skills so that they can navigate uncertainty and change with just more confidence and more certainty.
Fantastic. Let me tell you a quick story. So my first agency, I helped pioneer and invent a topic called social selling. And we grew an agency so rapidly that I caught myself in founder-led both sales and delivery. And ultimately, I was on 80 flights a year for 6-7 years in a row. When my kids were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like throughout that journey.
Yeah.
And I thought that was totally normal. And I had a rule. I would come home every Friday night, no matter where I was in the world. So I'd fly home from India. I'd come home to a cottage in Toronto, Canada. Kids would be up there. I'd spend 36 hours with them. Then I'd be flying out to Sydney, Australia. Long and the short is COVID happened. And about a month into COVID, we moved the family up north to our cottage. And I have an outdoor office on a lake. I had the door open looking at the lake. And I'm working on a couch. And my son walks by the outdoor office with a friend from the cottage, doesn't realize I'm in the office. And I heard him say, "It's kind of nice to have my dad around," because I didn't really know him. And like crushed my soul, because I realized my son, when COVID started, was maybe 8. And so from age 0 to 8, like I was never around.
Right.
And so I turned around, I bought a ski boat, taught him how to water ski, and now he's a nationally ranked water skier. Like
amazing.
I totally did a 180. Long of the short is you and I were talking offline about these moments of resiliency. Actually, one question that popped into my head is the type of customers that you're serving. There's this kind of, whether it's a legacy bias or not, maybe your female customers are more open and apt to share. I'd love to know, what about from your male customers? Are you finding that these types of events that are personal, are they as open and willing to share the emotional state that they're in? And then the second part of that question is, how do you unlock and help them like bloom like a flower to be vulnerable?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think, as a generality, right, men have a little bit harder time maybe of doing that. But I will say, though, the ones that I work with a lot of times are high achievers that are leaders that have gone through a lot of leadership work. And so those folks that have done self-development work, they're just, in general, doesn't matter which gender you are, they're really more connected to how they're feeling, and they know that they need to connect in order to get to the next level. So it's it's really interesting. It's really based on that experience. But I will say that, sometimes, men do feel a little bit guarded. And I just want to invite anybody listening that feels like, oh my gosh, I've never really had a safe place to really explore how in the heck I'm feeling. And I feel like I'm identified by my title or my paycheck or, the name of the company that I'm with or the name of the company that I'm building. You are so much more. Just like you said, like you have little 8-year-old eyes on you at home, and that's really, at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing all this for, is for the next generation and our kids and our families, our spouses, our partners.
You mentioned, imagine I was somebody who had not ever gone through self-help or self-journey. So I didn't even know how to ask myself the right questions. What would you advise somebody listening who and I've experienced it multiple times. I've owned 3 agencies. I've had these moments of stress that felt like I had 2 different styles. One that felt like shell shock, like I'm walking around the office like a zombie. I couldn't even talk.
Yeah.
And the other started to manifest in physical challenges. So sciatic back pain, exhaustion to the point, like I thought, should I get tested for mono kind of thing?
Yeah.
What are the telltale signs if you're talking to somebody who doesn't know how to self-diagnose, that there is like a litmus test for them to say, I think you should seek help?
Yeah, the body keeps score. It's a great book out there that those of us who study human behavior and trauma are well versed on. And you guys may have heard that book, but it's so true. If we're feeling stress or we're going through a big emotional time, maybe you're processing a divorce, maybe you're processing a big loss in your company, like whatever it is. If you have grief, those kind of things, it will manifest in your body. And so if you're tight, up here, it'll feel like the weight of the world in your shoulders, right? Lower back can be a lot of anger, grief, loss. And it can be business loss, right? It doesn't have to be this big emotional thing in your personal life. It might be just a really stressful time. So you need to make sure that, you're taking care of your well-being. Well-being is everything. And for those of us who are a little bit more wired for high achievement, and we're visionaries, we're drivers, we need to, go out and do amazing things in the world. Maybe you're impact driven as well. You give a lot. You're always giving. You're giving to other people. And a lot of times we forget to give to ourselves. Even if you are like getting up for the workout, maybe the 5 a.m. workout is not what you need. Maybe what you need is rest and recovery time sprinkled throughout your day for just a few minutes. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing, right? Or maybe what you need is to sit down and really journal every morning. How much progress am I really making? Or are you leading with more self-criticism? Because sometimes we fuel our own fire, which leads to burnout. So there's a couple of different ways you can work with that, but you're right. It does manifest both emotionally and physically in your body.
This is fantastic. And this is where I'd love to tap into your pillars that drive towards a solution or an outcome. But I was just going to make a statement that for the last 5-6 years, I've been tracking my sleep. And it's incredible how accurate. Now, my wife has the juxtaposing view on it. I check it when I get up. Like, imagine alarm goes off. I'm a super early riser, 5 a.m. every day. Yeah. And I check it and I kind of diagnose how my sleep was last night. And I think back, like, did I prepare myself for a great sleep? Her thought is that whatever the score it gives you is going to dictate how you feel rather than you feeling it and then confirming it through the score. But it is quite accurate when I get behind in sleep versus when I built like a debit versus a credit, what it does to my performance. And it's just been a good gauge. I'm just making a comment there. Yeah. Now imagine I am a busy professional, so I don't have to imagine this. We're working together. Yeah. What are some of the steps that we're going to go through that is going to help me improve?
Yeah, people come to me as a coach for oftentimes clarity, right? People want clarity in their life. Something isn't working, something's broken, right? Whether it's something in your health or something in your career or a relationship that's really important to you. Or people are like, oh, I need more confidence. I want to sell more things. I want to grow my revenue. I just need more confidence. And what we really find is, we get to break through some limiting behaviors and habits that are driving the results we're seeing. So the 5 cornerstones of resilience that I teach people, either on a one-on-one basis or in a group corporate setting, the way to thrive is to really start with courageous action, right? We have to lead with courage. We have to be committed. So for you visionaries, like keep your vision, but keep your eye on the prize. Don't get distracted. And that leads us then into really compassion and connection. And those two are so important because if we're committed to something, but we also have to be so compassionate along the way. embracing failure, being compassionate to ourselves, like we're doing the best we can each and every day, and staying connected to our vision, ourselves, our families, the people that we're serving, our customers, right? That's a big part of connection as well. All of that really builds up to the final C, the final cornerstone, which is confidence. We are our most confident when everything in there is aligned. When we're driving with courageous action, that's going to drive confidence, especially if we're committed and we're being in congruency with showing up in a way that's going to drive results.
Do you find that founders in particular struggle with being happy with and content with what they've achieved and have a huge problem seeing what they achieved as successful? And I pose this as a question because one of the most impactful things that somebody ever said to me, I'm on a ski trip, I'm on a chairlift. I remember exactly where and when I was.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking left and he's looking right on the chair. And because he has this type of personality where he'll ask these life coach kind of questions.
Okay.
And he said, do you think you're successful? Mm-hmm. And as fast as he asked the question, I responded with a no. And then it followed with a because. And then it followed with because I haven't reached this peak of a mountain.
Right.
And he said, I hear this all the time. Like the mountains you had climbed meant nothing. Yeah. And it's all about that next mountain. So maybe talk about that problem of being in the valley of that shadow of death. Like you're in the valley and you think that the next mountain is the next thing you get to it. Oh, that mountain sucks. I'm going to the next mountain.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
That is a common high achiever problem. Why? Because we're wired on achievement. And why are we wired for achievement? Well, it goes back to our ages 0 to 8. Everything in our lives do, guys. So, how you grew up, there was something that created this core psychological wound of not feeling good enough. And so that's why high achievers are driven the way they are. Now, high achievers also can funnel those things into very positive movements and create amazing companies. But at the core, if they're not purposefully, intentionally starting their day with reflecting on the progress they're making, even the small, teeniest little increments, then they'll just keep feeding that inner subconscious voice that says, you're not good enough. Keep going harder. Keep going farther. Oh, you made 7 figures? We haven't made it to 8 yet. So go there, right? Yeah.
This is the core problem. What do you recommend somebody listening to this and thinks they can get value in speaking to? What would you recommend as the next step? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can just reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn mainly for social. And my website is amylee, Leigh, looper.com. And, I'm responsive there too. So, you can take a look at a lot of videos on YouTube. I've got a lot of free content out there to help you really build resilience and overcome circumstances that may feel so overwhelming to you right now, but I can guarantee you there's nothing you can't overcome.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much for being on Outsource to Profits.
Thanks, Jamie.